way and say you were wrong. You know, it's a tough call.
Very interesting. I have a brother who's a physician who I believe is, you know, right up in there in the AMA area, management or leadership, I'm not sure, and a brother-in-law who's a physician, and a nephew who's a physician. And all of them are saying the same thing. It's death to America, and my sister's a nurse. Death is death. It's going to get worse. And I found it interesting, you know, there are the lawsuits that are out there. And the first lawsuit that came out against the government, Obamacare, I have two stories here on that. One, it was out of Florida, and of course, what was the argument that Elena Kagan made as Solicitor General was that Florida didn't have standing to raise the issue. Interesting, yeah? Because this follows along with the whole way this questioning of the Constitution and Obama's eligibility has given is there's not standing. But in any case, that case is moving along, including, I think, the entry of somebody's brief that said that the law is illegal because Obama is illegal. But I found it interesting that there is a tactic by the Republicans to join the lawsuit, and maybe they're also pursuing a legislative piece, I'm sure they will, but to join the lawsuit as well, in insisting that that is unconstitutional. You know, as a person who's struggled with getting health care myself, and with the physicians in my family, yeah, tort reform, for me, let me buy health insurance across state lines, and, you know, go easy on the pre-existing conditions, for heaven's sakes. You know, the older you get, the more pre-existing conditions you have. But in any case, the whole effort to reform health care was not aimed at really reforming health care. And you used a particular word, which I find is interesting, which is part of the strategy, and that is to demonize somebody. That's one of the Alinsky rules, is you pick a target, you isolate it, and you demonize it. So, yes, it would seem to me that on health care, or Obamacare, because who doesn't want health care? Let's call it Obamacare. That will demonize physicians, and people are going out of business. Will go out of business and refuse, and I can see that going everywhere. So see something like health care or Obamacare to the Tea Parties also became constitutional. Those of us who are concerned about Obama just related it again to Obama's ineligibility. And the Republicans could take 25 years to try to undo the damage, or we could move to get this guy out of office, rule him ineligible, and to have these things fall by that. Even the whole process, see, again, I'm telling you, I admit I've got a tinfoil hat on. We are in such trouble. And, you know, the canaries in the coal mine, Kirshner, Terry, Lieutenant Colonel Lakin, these are the signs that, you know, we are cooked or we might have a chance. But the health care, the banking, and so forth, these are totally against Article 4, Section 4. They're totally against the Constitution. And whenever we say anything, we're demonized. So I am grateful, you know, we're on the eve of Thanksgiving, that we had the election that we did. It's not perfect, and it hasn't given us that amount of breathing room, but for heaven's sake, it gives us a chance to actually make some moves. So in that regard, with all my chattering and Kirshner's and Apuzzo's statements, what would be your next step, or what would you recommend all of us anxious listeners out here do if, for example, the Kirshner case is not taken?
that's it's hard to know what to support Terry. I think would be is where my heart is, and that's
yes.
By getting a hold of our congressmen, whether they be new incoming congressmen or current congressmen, and just contacting them and advising them about Terry's case, and really you have to. The only way that I think that we can be sure that he gets a fair treatment is to watch it, and to make sure that everybody that's involved in it is accountable. And so, and then he's there's different websites that are supportive, and will keep people up to date on his case, and I believe is that SaveOurConstitution.com, and
yeah.
Another website that healthcare providers are following is the American Association of Physicians and Surgeons, with regard to some of the lawsuits with Obamacare. There's I think on SaveOurConstitution.com you can put some money toward helping Terry with his defense attorney, if inclined, and I plan on being there, and I have many people to report to with regard to how his trial or hearing progresses and what becomes of it. So.
Excellent. So for our listeners out there, if you can make it to the hearing, it's going to be in Fort Meade, December 14th and 15th. I'm going over there. I know my two colleagues from the Usurpathon you are, Greg, and so that's going to be very good. One question before I ask you another one, and is there a link to support Terry's family, or will there be in case the worst happens? In terms of making sure that she and his children are taken care of.
Right. He does have 3 little kids, and they're very supportive. But again, this could mean many years. Worst case scenario. But I believe that SaveThatConstitution.com, you can dictate where you want the monies to go, whether it's for his defense or for his family. I believe that's the case, although he was looking at getting a trust or something along those lines so that they'd be cared for when he was potentially away from them. So,
well, we're not putting any energy out there that's going to happen, because we're going to get this delayed one way or another, and something's going to happen. But I want everyone to know out there that this man is standing for us, so we really need to come to the aid of him. He's defended us. There's no reason why we can't defend him and move forward that way. Now, you mentioned his attorney. We all know that he has a new attorney. I think there may have been 1 or 2 people who've been able to talk with him. I'm just not interfering and, don't have access, but I know it's very important for our audience out there, and I know you can't share legal details and probably don't know many anyway, because it's very much of a, between Terry and his attorney. But it's very much of concern to those of us out there that his defense attorney is aware of the Kirchner case and is aware of the status of that, and that Lieutenant Colonel Lakin's case has been mentioned in the Kirchner case. Is there anything you can share on the extent to which Terry's attorney is aware of how many of us out there are rooting for Terry, and the tons of material we have, as well as the Kirchner case? Is there anything light you can share on that for our listening audience?
Well, I know that his attorney is aware of the Kirchner case and his potential meaning for Terry's case. I know that he's well aware of that. I know that that supposedly happened today, and with regard to the review of that, and so and the question is, like you stated earlier, Kate, is a little bit about timing. Is it going to be in time to help Terry, or is Terry's case going to prevail? It's hard to predict. Really, I know that even the military is a very political animal. They're very concerned about public opinion. They act like they're not, but they really are. And so anything that can be used to show support for Terry is going to have influence. I'm sure of that.
Very good. I wrote a post a while back called "Terrorists Have More Rights Than Lieutenant Colonel Lakin," which they do right now. And so is that what you're talking about? Because, many of us don't know about how we approach the Pentagon, how we make things, come before their eyes. I've tweeted every post that I have to, the hashtags for military and so forth. But any other tips you have on making the military aware of what a disaster this could be? I mean, for myself, I would advise, for example, talk with young kids. If you really want to go into the military, this could affect recruitment, et cetera, et cetera. How far can we go? What would you suggest? What do you have in mind?
I'm open